Thank you very much indeed. Dear Mr. Prime Minister, dear ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad to bid welcome in Kyiv, in our capital, to our friend, the friend of the entire Ukraine, and the friend of freedom, Boris Johnson, Prime Minister. This is your second visit, Boris, to Kyiv after 24th of February, the beginning of the full-scale invasion by the Russian Federation to our soil. And I'm grateful to you for this attention to our country, to all our people, to our country, and to your leadership and the unparalleled support by the United Kingdom to Ukraine. Our negotiations today, I have to say that, as usual, they have been very substantial and full with important details. We touched upon the key issues on the bilateral agenda, as well as the general situation in Europe and worldwide. First of all, that is about two important things, namely defense and security. We discussed the current situation on the front line in the east and the south of our country at length. We discussed our opportunities in defending Ukraine against the Russian occupier. We have common position on how to move towards our victory, because that is the result Ukraine needs, victory for our country. I appreciate your understanding of our military requirements. That is very important. Particularly, we discussed the need to bolster the supplies of heavy weaponry. We need to ensure our needs in terms of air defense systems. We started moving in that direction. Russian rockets remain a peril to all of our people and the entire territory of Ukraine. The overwhelming majority of Russian missile strikes are targeted by Russian troops against civilians and civilian infrastructure. They hit residential buildings, schools, hospitals, transport and enterprises. Obviously, that must be one of the paramount tasks to deal with. But for our partners and for us, we need to help us defend ourselves from the Russian rockets. That will be a key to guaranteeing normal lives for our people in our territory. We also touched upon the conclusions of the third meeting in Ramstein base, and I appreciate Britain's effort in promoting our interests. We discussed Ukraine's needs in economic support, that is about finance, because we are also facing the shortage of fuel because of the bombardment of our storage facilities and oil processing plants. We also discussed the difficult issue of ensuring our needs for the heating season, and I thank Boris for his commitment to help our country in this regard. We also discussed further ways on how to step up sanctions against the Russian Federation. I thank Boris for his leadership and principled stance in this regard. We also put forward our proposals and groundwork. We can make sanctions very, very tangible in order to make sure that Russia feels the consequences of its terrorist acts against Ukraine and international stability. The aggressor must pay a price for this aggression, for this war, the steepest price. Russia should also compensate all the damage that it has caused to Ukraine and our businesses and our communities. Russia should also be held to account for the food security crisis that it has precipitated. Russia is squarely responsible for the deficit of food and the global market in the end blockade of our ports. Africa and Asia should be protected from famine, and as well as all peoples around the world. They should have all the essentials and basic products. If it had not been for the Russian aggression, we would not have had this deficit. We also took our work further in terms of Ukraine's security guarantees to ensure Ukraine's stability and European stability and stability worldwide. We should also intensify our cooperation in terms of demining Ukrainian territory. We also started discussing this direction as well. We also discussed political measures in terms of Ukraine's reconstruction. We do not have any doubt that Ukraine is going to prevail, so we are preparing for post-war reconstruction after our victory. I thank you for this I thank you for your help in terms of reconstruction of Kyiv Oblast that the United Kingdom has undertaken. I thank you for the fact these negotiations are, as usual, very frank and very substantial. And taking this opportunity, I'd like also to draw your attention to the fact that we have a historic moment today, as Ukraine has received a positive assessment from the European Commission in terms of our membership prospect. I think that this is a fundamental step for the entire Ukrainian people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Volodymyr. Thank you for having me once. It's great to be back here again in Kyiv and to see you, but also to see how life is coming back to the streets, to the cafes, to the restaurants. It's much livelier, I think, than it was just a few weeks ago when you and I went on our impromptu walkabout, Volodymyr, and that's a very positive thing. It's good to see visitors, let me put it this way, from other European countries coming to Kyiv. But we've got to face the fact that only a couple of hours away, a barbaric assault continues on entirely innocent people. Towns and villages are being reduced to rubble. And as you rightly say, Volodymyr, we continue to see the deliberate targeting of civilians, what is unquestionably a war crime, and in a hideous echo of the past, the illegal deportation of people that the Russian forces believe are insufficiently sympathetic to Putin's aggression. And in these circumstances, we can only once again salute the heroism of the Ukrainian forces, the bravery of your armed forces. And in these circumstances, Volodymyr, I completely understand why you and your people can make no compromise with Putin. Because if Ukraine is suffering, if the Ukrainian troops are suffering, then I have to tell you that all the evidence is that Putin's troops are under acute pressure themselves, and they are taking heavy casualties. Their expenditure of munitions, of shells and other weaponry is colossal. And after our 114 days of attack on Ukraine, they have still not achieved the objectives they set out for the first week. So, Volodymyr, we're here once again to underline that we are with you to give you the strategic endurance that you will need. And we are going to continue to help intensify the sanctions on Putin's regime. We're going to do everything we can to continue to strengthen the diplomatic coalition of support around the world for Ukraine. And I completely understand and sympathize with the need for continued financial support for Ukraine. We're going to work together to liberate the grain, as you rightly say, that is being held hostage right now by Putin, depriving people around the world of the food that they need. And of course, we will continue, as we have from the beginning, to provide the military equipment that you need, and now, of course, the training that may be necessary to go with that new equipment, so that you, the Ukrainian people, the Ukrainian armed forces, will be able to do what I believe Ukrainians yearn to do, and that is to expel the aggressor from Ukraine. And that will be the moment for talks about the future. And it will be in that context of a free Ukraine that we and other countries will be making the security commitments and guarantees that we've discussed so often. And we will work together with you and with our partners to rebuild your wonderful country for the benefit of Ukrainians and, I might say, for the benefit of the whole of the global economy. Thank you for having me again to Kyiv. It's always wonderful to be here, and Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава.
Героям слава.
Thanks.